I never expected my world to change over Thai takeout and a bottle of cheap wine. Lena had been in my life for so long, I couldn't remember a version of myself that didn't include her. We met during freshman orientation, when I got lost trying to find the biology lab and she offered to walk me there, even though she was a psychology major and had absolutely no reason to know where it was. That was Lena. Effortless, magnetic, and a little bit chaotic. She always wore mismatched socks and never remembered to charge her phone, but somehow she remembered everything else. My favorite candy, the way I liked my coffee, the exact date my goldfish died in sophomore year. We'd been through it all. Heartbreaks, finals, drunk karaoke nights, road trips that started with a full tank of gas and no plan. She was my person, my ride or die. So when I went through yet another breakup with Jake, my emotionally unavailable, always sorry but never changing boyfriend, Lena did what she always did. He showed up. It was a rainy Friday night, the kind that made the city feel smaller, softer. I was curled up on the couch in one of Jake's old hoodies, wiping mascara-stained tissues off my face when she walked in, holding a bag of spring rolls in one hand and a bottle of Merlot in the other. "No man is worth this much snot," she said, tossing her coat on the chair and kicking off her boots. I managed a weak laugh. "That's rich coming from you. You cried over that bartender in Philly for a week." Okay, first of all, he looked like Jason Momoa and made me a lavender gin fizz without me even asking. That was love, not lust. She always knew how to make me laugh when I felt like crumbling. We curled up on the couch, legs tangled, our favorite trashy reality show playing in the background as we devoured pad thai and egg rolls. And then the mood shifted. I was ranting about Jake. How he made me feel invisible even when I was standing right in front of him. How he said he loved me but never chose me. How I always felt like I was fighting for a place in his life. Lena didn't interrupt. She just listened, her eyes dark and unreadable. Then, softly, she reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. "You deserve better," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I scoffed, bitterness rising in my throat. "Better doesn't want me." There was a beat of silence. I looked at her, then really looked at her. Her lips were parted slightly. Her eyes fixed on mine like she was weighing the risk of something huge. And then, without another word, she leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't hesitant. It wasn't a question. It was intentional. Certain. Her lips were soft but urgent, like she'd been holding that kiss inside her for years. And maybe she had. When she pulled back, my world tilted. "I've wanted to do that for a long time," she whispered, her voice shaking just enough to make me realize this wasn't just about comfort or timing. This was something real. I opened my mouth to respond, but no words came. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. Because in that moment, with Lena staring at me like I was the center of her universe, I realized something terrifying and undeniable. I wanted her too. And suddenly, nothing in my life made sense anymore, except her. We didn't tell anyone at first. Not our friends, not our families, no one. It wasn't about shame. Not for me, at least. I was ready to shout it from the rooftops. But Lena said she needed time. It's ours," she told me one night, her fingers tracing lazy circles along my bare shoulder as we lay tangled in her sheets. "Let's keep it just between us. For now." And I agreed, because back then, every moment with her felt like magic. Like if we said it out loud, it might disappear. There was something intoxicating about our secret little world. It felt sacred, like we were the only two people who understood the language we were speaking. Every lingering glance across a crowded room, every brush of our hands beneath a table, every whisper of "come over" when the world was asleep. It was all ours. I fell in love in layers. First with her laugh, real and unfiltered, the kind that made my stomach flip. Then with her late-night ramblings about star signs and alternate realities, and why she thought honey mustard was a personality trait. I fell in love with the way she made tea exactly how I liked it without asking. The way her eyes softened when she looked at me like she was seeing something no one else could. She told me she loved me one night in December. We were watching reruns of Friends, and I was half asleep with my head in her lap. She was playing with my hair, humming along to the theme song under her breath. Then, out of nowhere, she said, I love you, you know. I blinked up at her, heart thudding. You do. I've probably loved you since sophomore year, she smiled softly. It just took me a while to be brave enough to say it. I kissed her like I'd been waiting my whole life for her. After that, things felt even more solid. We had a rhythm, sneaking out for late-night drives, sleepovers that turned into sunrises, and a secret Spotify playlist she titled, Us. We built a relationship in whispers and glances, and even though we had to pretend in public, it made every private moment feel that much more intense. But slowly, without warning, the edges began to fray. Started small. Missed call here. A vague text there. Her "hey babe" messages turned into busy. Betrayal. She stopped showing up with surprise coffees. Stopped sending me voice notes at 2 a.m. when she couldn't sleep. I tried to rationalize it. Everyone gets busy. She just picked up more hours at the clinic. Finals were coming up. Life happens. But something felt different. When we were together, her touch lacked the tenderness it once had. Her hugs were shorter. Her eyes didn't linger on mine like they used to. Conversations felt forced, and silence started to stretch longer and longer between us. One night, after she canceled on me for the third time in a week, "Sorry, something came up," I called her. She answered after the fourth ring, sounding breathless. "Hey, sorry. I'm just swamped. Work's been a nightmare." "You okay?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "You've just seemed distant lately." There was a pause. "Just work stress," she said quickly. "You're overthinking it." But I knew her better than that. I could hear it in her voice. She was hiding something. There was a new tension in her words, like she was constantly walking a tightrope I couldn't see. Still, I didn't press. I didn't want to be the jealous, insecure girlfriend. I trusted her. Or at least, I wanted to. Because despite the sinking feeling that had taken root in my stomach, I kept telling myself the same lie over and over. She loves me. She wouldn't hurt me. But even love, real or not, can't protect you from betrayal. And deep down, I was beginning to feel the cracks. Something was breaking. The first real red flag wasn't Lena. It was Jake. We'd been broken up for almost 5 months at that point, and though our relationship was always messy, filled with toxic fights, long silences, and far too many second chances, I'd finally reached the point where I knew I deserved better. And better, I thought, was Lena. So imagine my confusion when Jake started showing up again. At first, it was subtle, liking my photos on Instagram, reacting to my stories with fire emojis or eyes, like we were still playing cat and mouse. I ignored it. I had Lena now. What did Jake matter? But then it escalated. He started texting me late at night. "You ever think about us? I still have your hoodie. Smells like you. Can we talk? Just one drink?" I didn't reply. I was too busy trying to hold together my unraveling situationship with Lena. But the final straw came when he bumped into me at the cafe I'd introduced him to, the one I told Lena was ours. Jake stood there like it was fate, smiling like we were old lovers reuniting in a rom-com, not exes with a mountain of unresolved issues. "I miss you," he said, leaning casually against the table where I was trying to get some work done. "No one gets you like I do." I stared at him for a beat too long, not because I was tempted, but because I was confused. Jake hated coffee shops. He thought lattes were overpriced and oat milk was a scam. "What are you doing here?" I asked, arms crossed. He grinned like he had all the time in the world. "Just remembering what I gave up." That's when I stood, gathered my things, and walked out without another word. I was shaking. Not out of fear, but something worse. Dread. Like the universe was trying to send me a warning I didn't want to hear. But the real punch to the gut came later that week. It was late, and I was picking up takeout for Lena and me after she'd canceled our dinner date again. She said she wasn't feeling well. I believed her. I always did. Until Jake showed up at my door. Uninvited. With my favorite wine in one hand and a smug smile on his face. "Thought maybe you could use company." "Seriously?" I narrowed my eyes. What do you want, Jake? He stepped closer, and that's when I smelled it. Perfume. Not just any perfume, Lena's. Hit me like a slap. That scent, soft and citrusy with a hint of vanilla, was unmistakable. It was Lena's signature. Something I associated with warmth, comfort, love. And now it clung to Jake like guilt. I staggered back. Where were you just now? He blinked, trying to look confused. What? You smell like her. His lips parted like he wanted to deny it, but his eyes told the truth. They flicked away, guilty, hesitant. I don't know what you're talking about, he mumbled, stepping back like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I didn't say another word. I just closed the door in his face, locked it, and slid down to the floor, my hands trembling. My brain tried to rationalize. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe she hugged him in passing. Maybe he brushed past her somewhere. But my heart knew. And it was starting to crumble under the weight of that knowing. Lena had been pulling away. Jake had been circling back. And now they smelled like each other. That night I barely slept. I stared at the ceiling, my phone on my chest, debating whether to text Lena, to confront. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. What if I was wrong? What if I was right? I scrolled back through our messages, hers and mine. The earlier ones were so full of life, of us, and the recent ones, cold, sparse, me. Like a love story that had already ended. I just hadn't gotten the memo. The unraveling had begun. And I didn't know it then, but I was about to lose everything. I told myself I was being paranoid. I wanted to believe it was just in my head, that I was overthinking things like I always did. That Lena was just overwhelmed, that Jake was just being Jake. I even gaslit myself into believing that maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was insecure. Maybe I was broken. But then, found the video. It happened at a mutual friend's birthday party. Jake and I hadn't come together, but he was there, of course, because Jake is always where he doesn't need to be. Lena had said she couldn't make it, claimed she had a deadline and needed to catch up on life. So I went alone. The party was loud. Too many people packed into a too small apartment, the music pulsing like a heartbeat through the floor. I was making small talk in the kitchen when Jake stumbled out of the bathroom, clearly buzzed and fumbling with his phone. He tossed it on the table beside me before disappearing back into the crowd. Seconds later, it began to vibrate, an obnoxious alarm blaring like a foghorn. I reached for it instinctively, more annoyed than curious, planning to silence it and move on. But then, I saw it. A video thumbnail, still open in the gallery. Not even locked, not even hidden. Just sitting there, mocking me. I don't know why I tapped it. Maybe I already knew deep down. Maybe a part of me was waiting for confirmation that the nightmare I was living wasn't just in my head. The video opened in full screen. It was my bedroom. My sheets, sunflower yellow, wrinkled from sleep. My pillows, the ones Lena used to say smelled like home. And on them was her, Lena, half naked, giggling. Her fingers twisted in Jake's hair as he kissed her neck, grinding against her like they were auditioning for a porno. I stared at the screen, frozen. My body went numb, like my brain had disconnected to keep me from shattering on the spot. Then came her voice. You really think she has no idea? She giggled, breathless. Jake's reply. Visual. Cruel. She's clueless. You're a fucking mastermind. I didn't even feel the phone slip from my hand. It hit the floor with a dull thud, but I didn't react. I just stood there, my heart pounding in my ears so loud it drowned out the music, the voices, everything. The room spun. I stumbled toward the bathroom, locked the door behind me, and stared at myself in the mirror. And in that moment, I didn't recognize the woman looking back. She looked broken, ill, betrayed, humiliated. My best friend, the woman I loved, the one who kissed me like I was her world, She'd been sleeping with my ex. In my bed. Filming it. Laughing about it. I slid down the wall, curling into myself on the cold bathroom tiles, trying not to scream. My stomach turned. My chest felt like it was caving in. I kept replaying the words. "You're a fucking mastermind. She planned it. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't some drunk accident or blurred lines moment. It was deliberate." Lena, my Lena, who held me through panic attacks and whispered how special I was, had betrayed me in the most disgusting, calculated way possible. And Jake. He knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted me to find out. Wanted to twist the knife in deeper. That night, I left the party without saying a word. Didn't tell Jake I saw the video. Didn't text Lena. I went home, crawled into the same bed they'd defiled, and cried until I couldn't breathe. But something inside me shifted. The girl who curled up and cried that night. She died. The one who woke up the next morning. She wanted revenge. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't beg for answers or try to understand why they did it. Already knew. People like Jake and Lena didn't care about love or loyalty. They cared about power, control, the thrill of getting away with it. They wanted to break me. But instead they taught me how to fight. So I did what they never expected. I planned. And this time, I wasn't the heartbroken girl who cried on bathroom floors. I was the storm they didn't see coming. It started the next morning. I barely slept, but I was wide awake, fueled by fury and something colder, sharper. Clarity. I created a fake number using one of those burner apps. Gave it a generic name and a blank profile pic. Then I texted Jake. "I can't stop thinking about you. Come over tonight." I even threw in a little heart emoji, just to sell it. He replied in seconds. "You know I will. I've been dying to see you again." 9. I stared at the screen, a slow smile forming. Next, I made a second burner number, this time pretending to be Jake. I texted Lena. "You wearing that red lace tonight? You know how crazy it drives me." 9 p.m. She took her sweet time replying. But when she finally did, it was with a winking face and a single word. "Always. Perfect." Then I took my real number. No disguises, no lies, and I texted both of them. Same message, copied and pasted. "We need to talk. Meet me at Lena's at 9. No explanation. Just enough to make them curious. Nervous. I wanted them off balance. I wanted them wondering which mask I'd be wearing, the broken girl or the one who knew everything. At 8:15, I was already at Lena's apartment. She wasn't home yet. But I'd spent enough time there. Loved her enough to know where she kept her spare key. Hidden behind the loose brick in the hallway. The same one I helped her wedge back in place after a storm. Funny, the things you remember while planning revenge. I let myself in, locked the door behind me, and set up my phone on her bookshelf, angled perfectly toward the couch. Then another in the kitchen. A third, hidden near the hallway entrance. I wanted every angle. They wanted to make a movie. Fine. Make my own. At 8:58 I heard footsteps. My heart pounded, but I didn't flinch. Jake was first. He knocked like he owned the place. His usual smug smirk already plastered across his face. I opened the door like nothing was wrong. Sweet, gentle, even shy. "You came," I said, stepping aside. He walked in, looking around. "Where's Lena?" Shrugged. "Probably on her way." He raised an eyebrow but said nothing. At 9:04 the second knock came. "Lena." I opened the door with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Her lips parted when she saw Jake. She glanced at me. "What's going on?" I closed the door and locked it, turned slowly, and said, "Take a seat." Jake hesitated, Lena frowned. The tension was thick, like the air before a thunderstorm. I let it hang. Then I pulled out my phone. Opened the video. The video. Their bodies froze the second they saw it. I hit play. The audio filled the room. Lena's laugh, Jake's moan, the sound of my betrayal. You really think she has no idea? She's clueless. You're a brilliant mastermind. I didn't say a word. Just watched their faces. Jake turned pale, his jaw clenching as he stammered. It's not, this isn't what it looks like. Lena stepped forward, her voice shaking. Listen, No, I interrupted, deadly calm. You listen. You two used me. Lied to me. Slept together in my bed and laughed about how stupid I was. You wanted to humiliate me. I raised my phone again. Now it's my turn. Jake rushed toward me. Delete it. Lena reached out. Please don't do this. I stepped back. Don't worry, I said. I'm not posting it. Not you. I don't need to stoop to your level. But I did record this conversation. And I'll keep it, just in case either of you think about playing with anyone else's life like this again. Jake opened his mouth, but I was already at the door. I turned the knob, looked over my shoulder, and delivered the final blow. You two deserve each other. And you'll never find someone like me again. Then I left. The slam of the door behind me was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. That night I didn't cry. I didn't feel broken. Felt free. And for the first time in a long time, smiled. They always say revenge doesn't fix anything. That it won't heal you. That it'll leave you empty. Whoever said that clearly never had their heart ripped out by their best friend and their ex-boyfriend on the same day. Because the look on their faces when they walked in and saw each other, then me, standing there with my phone in hand, was everything. People talk. And in our town, people talk fast. By the next morning, Lena's perfect little world was in flames. Her job at the PR firm gone. Turns out, her boss wasn't thrilled about the ethics of someone who'd manipulate her best friend and sneak around like that. Especially when the scandal started gaining traction online. Jake. His reputation tanked harder than his last fantasy football league. Friends stopped answering his calls. Invitations stopped coming. Even his gym buddies started giving him side eyes. No one wanted to be associated with a guy who not only cheated but bragged about it on camera. And me. I deleted the videos. Not because they didn't serve their purpose, but because they had. I didn't need to keep that poison anymore. I moved on. Slowly, quietly, and with a dignity that neither of them would ever understand. I stopped crying at night. I started laughing again. Took a solo trip, met new people, and somewhere along the way, I found someone who actually saw me, chose me, loved me with honesty and intention. And Lena, last I heard, she moved back in with her parents. She tried to start over, but the whispers followed her. Her smile didn't seem so smug anymore. The confidence, the friends, scattered. She tried reaching out once, sent a long, guilt-ridden message about healing and growth. I left it on read, because forgiveness is one thing, but some betrayals, you don't come back from them. I lost a friend. I lost a boyfriend. But I found myself. And in the end, that's the best revenge of all. So yeah, that's how I found out my best friend was sleeping with my boyfriend, in my own bed, and how I made sure they both paid the price. Do I regret it? Not for a second. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge is silence. Black heart. If this story hit you hard, or if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, drop a comment below and tell us your story. Let it out. This is a safe space. Speech balloon type, she deserved worse, if you were screaming at your screen, or this gave me chills if the revenge felt right. Fire and Hay, if you love intense true stories like this, infidelity, betrayal, revenge, the drama no one talks about but everyone feels, this is your place. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe to True Secrets and hit that bell so you never miss the next secret confession. Beach balloon, comment your thoughts. We read every single one. Repeat button, share this video with someone who's been stabbed in the back. They might need this. Because sometimes, healing starts with telling the truth. Even if it hurts. Broken heart, this was True Secrets. And there are so many more to tell.